One, two. Hey, y'all. So let me start by apologizing for speaking very low. I have two people sleeping in the house, so I don't want to talk too loud and wake them up. Um, I will try to, scale up the volume as much as possible, but if it's too low, what can I do? Them uh, sleeping is more important right now. Anyway, I want to talk about the response video of Raka to analyze this, who referred to something that Puya said on one of Raka's videos. Now, I didn't even know who Analyze This is. I just saw Raka's response to him, and then I went over and I looked at the video, and I thought he was basically spot on. I thought he was correct. I think Puya is making many epistemological errors, and he's not really being called out for it. So what I want to do here is I want to say why he was wrong with saying, I'll just basically do a quick recap. Puya said that Charles II made epistemological errors, which, by the way, it's not correct. He did not the way that Puya tried to show, but he said that, because he made these errors, then he cannot be trusted as a philosopher. Okay, the emphasis is on the word trusted. So Analyze This made a video kind of explaining why that is a wrong approach. And he made really good points, but I want to just add a few more. And then I just want to say why this is important. Like here, it annoyed me. There's a million things to talk about right now. There's the coronavirus. There's, basically governments being totalitarian right now. There's so much going on, but here I am. I want to talk about this issue. So, I don't know. This, I'll talk later why I think this is so important. So I'll start with why Puya was just completely wrong. Just maybe before I do that, I want to say I like Puya. I like his enthusiasm. I think he's really bright. He's smart. I'm even jealous with how quickly he learns objectivism. But I do think he is still green in this area, and you cannot learn objectivism or any philosophy for that matter in just, in merely a few months. It's not possible. Not even Ayn Rand could do it. So, definitely Puya can't do it. And I think it's important to just, call him out on that and say hey, look, dude, you need to sit down and learn this and come back in 5, 6, 8 years after you really everything seeped in your consciousness and you're fully integrated, and then I think he'll have less errors. But anyway, so basically what Puya did, he made a misintegration. Okay, because what does he do? He took the principle of division of labor. Okay, he's saying, look, you have doctors, you have, teachers, you have mathematicians, and then you have philosophers. And if you can trust a doctor, then, well, obviously, there's philosophers that you can trust as well. So he tried to integrate the principle of division of labor with the concept of trust. Now, why is that a misintegration? Well, because he did not define the word trust as he should have. What does trust mean? Let's look at the dictionary, okay? So I just opened, I just put online trust, definition of trust. Um, Assured reliance on character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something, one in which confidence is placed. Okay, that's one definition. Let's go. And then Google has this other definition, says firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Now, the way I see trust, okay, when you trust someone, you trust their actions, you trust their decision making, you trust their judgment, or you trust something that they are about to do. Okay, you don't just trust someone blindly. Like if you do, then that's like an intrinsic interpretation of the concept of trust. So, for example, there's a surgeon. You trust him to, conduct a good surgery. There's a doctor. You trust him to give you the right prescription for your illness. You trust, I don't know, the mechanic to, repair your car or whatever. So you trust him to do something. Now, you don't just trust a philosopher. You can't, trust their knowledge. Knowledge is just something that you need to grasp. That's the nature of knowledge. So you read it, and then you either understand it or you don't understand it, or you understand it but you don't agree with it. There's the concept trust does not apply here. So, for example, you don't trust Victor Hugo. Like, what does that mean? Like, I trust Victor Hugo. There's no, authors. You read their books, and you either enjoy the books or you don't. You can say, I trust Victor Hugo to write the next marvelous novel. Or you can say, I trust Ayn Rand to write another, grand philosophical book. Yeah, you can trust them to do something, but you don't just trust them on faith, like an intrinsically, you just say, oh, I trust whatever they do. Like even, think about it in your day-to-day life. You have, I don't know, your partners or your friends. So what does that mean? You trust them. You trust them, to do things that are good, that, they won't backstab you or anything like that. So trust is, you need to take that concept, from its abstraction and pull it down to earth, like to reality. And unfortunately, I think Puya, he does this a lot. He still has this objectivism as this kind of platonic, abstract ideal, and then he just tries to make these integrations between different, concepts and principles and whatnot, but he doesn't bring them down to earth, and then he makes these mistakes. Like, this is a clear misintegration. Now there's also the distinction between being a philosopher and understanding philosophy. This is to me, this is pretty obvious. Like, Ayn Rand wrote about it, why every man and woman needs philosophy in their life. We can't survive without philosophy. We need some sort of cognitive tools, some sort of ideology to know, like, how to grasp the world and reality. So everybody needs philosophy. That's why there's no question of trust when it comes to knowledge. So in order to be a philosopher, that's a specific profession, just like, being a doctor is a specific profession. So you would need to go and learn philosophy. You would need to really, go into it and have a specific, special mind to engage with philosophy. But when you tell it to people, just anything that's intellectual is something that people can understand. So there's another distinction that Puya did not make, and that's why he made the misintegration. He did this with, I watched a 4-hour video that he had with Rucka on Charles II's allegedly 10 mistakes, all of them were misintegrations. I mean, I'm not going to go into that because I don't think it's that important. And again, this is not something like against Puya or anything. I think he's just young. He's still learning objectivism. It takes time until you fully grasp and understand it. That's all. That's why I don't really understand why, everybody needs to get so upset about this. Like, we're just having discourse about the truth, about, objectivism. And, I think it's fair that people will, comment or react to guests on Rucka's show if they think they are wrong. Like, that's all it is. I mean, why is this so important? At least to me, like, I try to think about why does this make me so, why did this give me the motivation to do this video? Well, I think, one of the main reasons is that Rucka is basically one of the most prominent advocators of objectivism out there. I mean, I don't think, maybe except for Yaron Brook, he turns, people into objectivism left and right. Like, every time, someone goes on the DDV show, they're like, oh, well, how did you, come to learn objectivism? And then they would be like, oh yeah, I saw Rucka talk about it. So, I mean, in my own example, I did read Ayn Rand before I ever knew about Rucka, but when I did watch his videos, it gave me the kind of, I don't want to say courage, but it gave me the motivation to be like, oh, you know what? He's young. He's talking about this stuff. He's passionate about it. Maybe I can do that too. So then I started writing about objectivism and, kind of making my voice heard. And, I think we should all thank Rucka for that. But because he is such a prominent voice, I think it's fair to have, scrutiny and call out, guests on his shows that make mistakes. Like when Cropper went on Rucka, it was obvious that there was something wrong there, and I think a lot of people called him out on that, and that was good. Like that was good warning against Cropper for misrepresenting objectivism. And I think objectivism is really, important in the lives of all of us, or at least, in mine or other objectivists. That's why when we see someone make these blatant errors, it's like, wow, we want to react right away, and we get all emotional about it because it's important to us. So, I don't exactly understand why Rucka took it so bad. Like he basically, like his response to analyze this was I thought it was very ad hominem. I thought they were, a lot of, what do I want to say? Just kind of a derogatory remarks, which I thought were uncalled for, were unfair. I thought KG said his things, pretty plainly. Yes, he was emotional, but I mean, I think we're all pretty emotional about ideas. Show me one objectivist who is not, and there'll be something wrong with him. So, then I saw his last response to Rucka, and I thought he was too apologetic. I don't think he should have apologized. I think he was correct for stating what he did. So I think my main point here is that we don't need these allegiances in objectivism. We don't need to separate into subgroups and teams and like, oh, are you on the Rucka team? Are you on the Charles II team? And I mean, this is insane. Like, why can't we just have proper discourse? I mean, isn't like the one thing we learned about the Charles II episode is that being obnoxious and being kind of malicious towards people is not cool. Like it's not cool. Um, and I thought that Puya's remark was kind of like that, and it did not surprise me. I think he's very cocky. Like from day one, I saw him. He went on the DDV show, and he has this confidence, which is good, by the way. But he has a lot of confidence, too much confidence for a guy who is obviously still not 100%, you know, grasps objectivism as he should, or we don't want to see people misrepresent objectivism, and so I think that comment and those observations that he makes, they are a red flag. They're red flag, purple flag, whatever color flag you want to call them, and yeah, I just think he needs to learn his stuff more. And I think it's fine if people comment on that and challenge him. I mean, you guys, no need to be such pussies. Basically, just let's have this discourse. I mean, don't we all just care about the truth, about objectivity, about what's right and what's wrong? So I hope everything I think my main reason for doing this video is just to kind of put this out there, like, hold it, guys, let's not divide into like these teams and allegiances, because it's ridiculous. Like there's no need to become this like emotional movement where you're either on that team or on that team. Like we can all engage in disagreements, and so I understand when sometimes people write these really stupid comments on YouTube, and sometimes they don't come off as well. I'm sure I've done that. I'm sure everybody has done that. So this is like, I guess, on everyone's responsibility to just kind of watch their words and try to really engage in a rational, objective conversation, and not try to just say, oh, I'm right and you're wrong. Like what matters is the truth, basically. So anyway, I don't want this to sound too cringy or too, I don't know. I guess this is all I have to say. So you either like it or you don't. See you next time.